By the way, I do like my shoes more tied during the day, but since I know I'm doing class, I have them in this mode. My table is built for me, so even to sit down, so now it's off because it's built for me with sneakers on. So the edge of the table is built so I can always, well, just so when I go to work on someone, it's in my proportions.
Right.
So if you were to do this, I would, you know what I mean, like you do a table around your proportion. Because the more you're involved with the lesson, it affects the lesson you're giving.
If it's a strength for you to reach and go, then it won't.
Right, well, if even, like, if I tighten my abs and were to work on you, you'd feel a completely different touch, because just like I was just working with her and what she's doing now, and like I said with the karate board, you want that to, you know, so if I hit a karate board, or if I'm going like that, I want to go through the board, you know, not stop here, because then I'm gonna, you know what I mean, like, the matter just stopped, so I want to go through it. So the same thing when I touch someone, I'm not touching, I'm going through them. So my touch continues through it, because that's what energy does. And I don't mean woo-woo energy, you know. I don't surround myself with the blue light. I don't, you know, call in higher powers. I'm really just exploring with touch. So when someone can't cross midline and they're a toddler or a child, okay, yes, you can say that the person probably never crawled much, but I just want to explain it. So it was mentioned like the wipey board like this, okay, and this is where it gets into also the functional vision. You know, when I take my hand up, you know, first of all, I don't have to look at it and know where my hand's going. So if I was doing, let's say, sometimes with the side punch, yeah, I want my hand to go where it's going, or in other cases, you know, if I was doing a reverse, then my head's going to go this way. So I have to know where my proportions are at. So when a child's actually crawling, right, first of all, they're learning how to fall down. But the most important thing, what they're doing, is learning their proportions. So when they're in crawling, and I go to look at you and I want to sit down, then I'm here. And then I can go actually into crisscross. Or I can go in here, 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 and turn around. So my proportions remain the same, okay? And that's where, and so another thing you start seeing the kids do, it sounds like I'm almost a pre-donkey. Not only are they coming on their hands, but the back end's going up. So you'll literally see a baby go like this. Are you watching? So you can do this in about a month? Yes? Okay. You know, so they're playing with their system. One of the hardest things I can get, or it is to teach, but it's important, a special needs child, is to put my hand on their foot like this, and in this position to be able to press up through the back. Because you have to have a really good system. So when you've only just, so if you haven't crawled, so getting out of bed is difficult. A lot of kids fall out of bed, or again, that's where you had issues, you bump into things, fall into things. So when you go to write, people assume writing is just with my hand. That is when we're older. I can sit at a chair like this and have very little movement. But when a kid's learning, again, it's a pre-crawl. See how my foot presses down here to go here on the table? That's crawling. They're writing, they're whatever, but see, I'm on my feet and I'm crawling and I'm doing all of these things. So when those sequences weren't developed in crawling, now they're kind of, you'll see kids, it's almost like riding a horse, but they've got their feet tucked like this, because they're almost afraid to fall off the chair, in a sense. People don't see it, they just think habits, like I see people shake their legs, I get it, people have habits, but if they're like this, a kid's like this with their feet curled, guess what? My range is just totally dropped down from here to, so if they drop a pencil, it's almost out of sight, out of mind. Or that's where they have ADD issues, because now they have to totally get up and go around and pick up something versus, again, if they crawled, then they can go like this and grab an object and go back to where they were. So it's more in the neutral. And that's where they start having issues with right and wrong too. Because, okay, pencil fell down, I have to go get it. So it's now a whole trek to go get it versus, oh, I'll get it, you know, and I can still look at you and pick something up. Again, these are just different functions, but it's a higher functioning. So I didn't lose my concentration. I still can see my feet, my shoes out of my peripheral. So if I want to, I don't break my gaze and I can grab my shoe. You know, I'm not worried about my balance, again, because I know my proportions, more so because not only did I crawl as a child, I crawled too long because I had a bar on my feet, but I now do this work, so I'm always integrating it. So even though, again, I'm 50 this year, I still can do things that most people will be like, what? You know, but I play with it. So it's always there and it's available. Again, I know the size of my table. I'm not worried about, even if I go like this, falling off. So again, with the writing, especially going upwards, it's the foot, pelvis, just like golf. Golf starts here, goes through the system, goes here. Now, true golf, I'm watching, it's the eye hand, but again, you don't want any kind of engaged muscles, and you're going down, and you're watching the ball, and the ball's gonna go. Or the motorcycle. Motorcycle, counterbalance, bicycle, you know, I have to look where the road is. If I go here, my counterbalance now is limited on the bike, and I go over with my motorcycle. So, excuse me, to do a lesson, to get someone like this, and this is where you see me constantly with the kids. I'm doing this, but I want the feet to counter. I'm working that pelvis, But eventually, so they can do this, and they can do this, and they can do this, and they're over their system. And again, that's the one thing with crawling, you're learning how to come over your system. But if you just pull yourself up and you're walking early, that's, again, limited. So.